This is the Stories from the Field podcast, a Delaware Farm Bureau production, sharing real stories from local farmers while educating the public on the agriculture industry. Hi, thank you for joining us here on the Stories from the Field podcast. My name is Macy Carter, and I am the co-chair of the Delaware Farm Bureau Promotion and Education Committee. Today we have with us Dave Marvel of Marvel Farms in Harrington, Delaware. He grows grain, fruits, vegetables on his family farm, including watermelons here behind us, which keeps him very busy in the summer months. Dave is a longtime member of the Delaware Farm Bureau, a board member of the Food Bank of Delaware, and a member of the Delaware Farm and Food Policy Committee. He has a passion for educating the public on agriculture, and we are very excited to have him here on the podcast. Thank you for joining us, Dave.
Thank you, Macy.
Yeah. So I guess we can start really general, but how did you get started in farming?
Well, like most people nowadays, through the family. We landed in Accomack, Virginia in 1650 as an indentured servant, paid back the indentured fees, and then started farming and worked our way up from north or the Virginia area up into Kent and Sussex County, Delaware. Oh, wow. So my great-grandfather's farm, which is where we were growing the watermelons this year, was purchased in 1909 from my great-grandfather, and that's how I got started.
So it's kind of in your blood, and it went all the way back.
Yes, it went way back the bloodline.
Wow, that's great. Now, how many acres do you say you have of watermelons or in total?
Watermelons, we only grow between 50 and 80 acres. That's about what we can handle with everything else. It's a small farm, family farm operation. My dad and I are full-time, and then the family comes in when needed. Because like most family farms, everybody's working someplace else to help support that.
Yes, definitely. You see that diversifying in the family farm today for sure, and especially with the younger generations. Now, if you want to give a little bit more on highlighting your watermelon farming, what kind of varieties of watermelon do you grow, and do you have a favorite, or is there a favorite for the consumer?
Well, consumer demand has changed over the years. When we first started growing watermelons back in, I'd say early 80s, everything was seeded melon, so the sangrias. And then it started to change over the years, and the seedless market really took off and dominated. So the only people that would grow seeded are ones to help pollinate the seedless, because you got to have something with male pollen to actually to pollinate the seedless watermelon. So we like seeded varieties, and then we have a new variety out that we've been growing for the past couple of years, and it's a really dark skin called Miramonte. These are what we call 79s. We love the taste of these, but people in the store, when they're buying, look at strictly about looks, because you can't see the inner taste. This is like humans. You only see the outer, but not the inner.
Right.
These are one of the sweetest varieties out there that will match a seeded watermelon, but people go on looks, and the other dark skin one we grow is a Miramonte, and from what I understand is developed by the same family of researchers and scientists, just the next generation. So they're very good also, but we like the old varieties.
Gotcha. I did not know all that about watermelon varieties.
Yes.
And I know that the seedless are really popular now, but you still need to grow the seeded.
Yeah, actually, it's still probably 95% of the market, but the seeded is starting to make a comeback, because people are wanting to eat what they consider more natural. So something with seeds. You hear all kind of groups saying, I want something with seeds. It's natural. And so we've made out because of that, because we're able to move most all our seeded watermelons, which in the past we had to leave them in the field. We would eat for the family, but you couldn't market them very well.
Wow. So you're kind of in that market now with the seeded.
Yes.
That's good. So what does your typical growing season look like, all the way from planting then to harvest?
Well, we start land prepping actually in April to May. We're a little different because we don't use plastic out in the fields. We use drip tape and not plastic. So we plant a cover crop, and that acts as our mulch. So we have to start that a little earlier. Then we start planting in the end of May, beginning of June, and start harvesting normally right before Labor Day. And we'll continue on until the vines just can't take it. So probably like third week in September, then we'll be out.
Got it. So you have to start planting when it gets a little warmer around here, and then harvest is later compared to like southern states.
Yeah, and even just 30 miles south of here, the Laurel, Seaford area, we can plant the same time as them, and they'll come off 7-10 days ahead of us.
Oh, wow.
Bridgeville area, same thing.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit different climate.
That makes a difference.
Just mileage. So, 10 more miles, but, and then that way we're not competing against them either. They're always after the early market. They're after the market in between when Georgia finishes up or Carolinas and right then, where we don't need to compete with them. And so we run just a little bit later, and then we'll harvest a little bit later in the season.
Got it. That's nice. That's perfect timing, I would say.
Yeah, because like right now we're only half done. So we figure we'll get another 2 more weeks in. So we should, without a frost, be more towards October.
Got it. Did not know it went that long.
Yeah, well, it depends on if you get a cold snap, too many rains, all that will influence it.
Good to know. Now, can you explain the building we're in right here a little bit and what happens here?
Well, it originally started as just a machinery shed, and instead of building a separate packing, we as farmers we try to double utilize everything that we have, and that way we don't spend extra money. And we originally just used half of the building because it wasn't concreted, and then as our business grew and we wanted to pack more at our farm, then we just kept adding concrete. So now there's almost 180 yards of concrete. It's a lot just on this side. And then we will actually unload out to the one end of the building. They'll sort out there in the open area, and they'll bring them in here in storage. The good thing is we have a regular building with 4 sides, so if the weather comes in, we can shut the doors and keep the water off them. And then from there, we put them in rows by size and by days. If we're going to harvest 2 or 3 days in a row, we know which ones we need to get out first. And then they just run right out the other door and into the tractor trailer and to the store and hopefully to your home.
Great. That's a great visual for people to realize, right from the farm to the store and then to your table.
Yes.
For those consumers that do not know, how do you know which watermelon is the right one?
Well, that's a family farm secret. But no, there's a lot of different things you look into. They always tell you about looking for the yellow on the bottom. Something like that, where it sat on the ground.
I see.
A little more yellow. But they also look at the vine, the way the vine, if the vine's where the watermelon's connected on this end, it'll come up to the main vine, and then you'll see just a little piece almost on it. And if it starts to dry up, but also the texture, you can visually see your lines of the green, but you can actually feel those lines if you put your hand across there. Just go like this.
Yeah.
So that means it's done growing, and it's just basically getting riper. So it's a combination of things.
Got it. That's good to know if you're ever in the grocery store and need help picking it out.
Yeah, but certain varieties don't have that. Like a sugar baby, which is all one colored. Traditionally, I don't think I've seen that on there, but we don't raise those. But that's for our varieties. You can see the lines, but you can start to feel the lines also. But always look for that yellowness. But like sugar babies don't get that much yellow on them because they're very dark skinned.
Got it. That was a good test example for people that are watching and need help to picking in a grocery store. I guess we can a little bit about, the grocery stores. Where do your watermelons go? Are they right to the grocery store, or do you wholesale to other places?
Yeah, so we always deal with a broker, and our broker we've become very fond of, called Sweet Mama. And Sweet Mama markets all up and down the coast and in the Midwest also. But we send a lot to Costco's.
Nice.
We'll send to Walmart's, and then some of your smaller, more like an IGA's or things like that. But traditionally they all go to a distribution center. And from that distribution center, they break it down to the store. Because, our local grocery store is Food Lion in Harrington, so they don't need a tractor trailer load. So they would go to a distribution center, and then they would divvy it out basically and sort it out to send them to different stores. That way you keep fresh all the time, because if not, these could sit in that store for a week to 2 weeks without using them. So that's why they mostly go to distribution centers.
Got it.
Then when they go to New York, that's a whole different ball game. They could go to a distribution center for a big store, or to a lot of smaller wholesalers who then divide it up for stores who only want 3 or 4 bins instead of 10 or 20. So that's a whole other market.
Got it. Yeah, that's a lot further too.
Yes.
Now, do you provide the transportation, or do they?
No, well, our brokers, Sweet Mama, deals with all the transportation, because we send a lot, like I said, to Florida. There's a load every 4 days goes to Florida, and then Massachusetts the other day, Ohio, Tennessee got 1 load, but the Carolinas. So
they're all over.
Yeah, so there's no way like us as a farmer trying to farm it can actually look all that up and try to find a truck.
Got it. Yeah, that's good to know. Now, you've been raising watermelons and farming for a long time. What is the hardest or the most specific part about growing watermelons compared to other crops?
Well, the watermelons are very time management, we'll put demanding, because it's not like a corn crop where you can look at it once a week and kind of keep an eye on things and know when to water. Where watermelons is a whole different deal. They change by the day. 2 days from now, like last week, 2 weeks ago, things weren't ripening because it was cool. You had warm days, but very cool nights. So as the melon would start to change, but the cool weather would slow it down at night. And last week was hot all the time.
Yep.
So everything got ready fast. So what we thought we'd harvest this week, we harvested last week. And then this week it's cool again. So, it's going to slow up on the ripening side. So where corn, you can get within 3 or 4 or 5 days and guess when you're going to harvest it, unless something else. Watermelons and any fresh market produce is not like that. Even produce for processing will vary in that. But watermelons, cantaloupes, tomatoes, and all, they get ready when they're ready, and you have to have everything ready for when they're ready.
Right. Yeah, you're definitely dependent on the weather, that's for sure. But like the time period and the span is a lot shorter with, these fresh market crops.
Yeah, because within 2 days it'd be perfectly ripe, and then 3 days from now it could be mush inside.
Yeah.
So, and then same way once you harvest it, you only have so much shelf life. Once you cut it from its vine, like basically I say umbilical cord, you have X amount of time to get that to where it needs to be.
Right, before it goes bad.
Before it would go bad.
A little bit about now, there are a lot of challenges facing farmers right now. What is the biggest challenge you would say for your generation of farmers today?
Well, really that would depend on the operation. There's a lot of issues going on. Everybody knows about the unstable financial crisis that's going on with agriculture, especially with your grain crops and your commodity crops. Right now, everybody around here I think we're blessed. We had a lot of rain for corn, and corn looks good. Like our personal soybeans doesn't look so good because they got drowned out, but the corn loved that extra rain. Watermelons don't like a lot of extra rain, but we were very fortunate that farm hasn't got hit like it has over here. For younger farmers, I think the biggest thing is financing, to be able to get finance, because banks know that it's tough right now. And they're looking at the projections, and they're looking at yields and looking at the price. And they know that farmer, is borderline whether they're going to make their payments or not.
Yeah.
So as long as banks are willing to extend that credit, then we can weather through this. When banks start pulling that back a little bit, then you're going to see a chain reaction. Because not only if they pull back credit, that means that farmer is either going to have to sell something or not expand, and then there's an opportunity for maybe someone else to do the same thing. Unfortunately, with farming, somebody's lost, somebody's gained to a point. And it's a shame that it has to be that way. But then, if that farmer is willing to grab extra ground and such, how long can they hold on to it? Because they're going to be fighting the same thing.
Right.
So right now, it definitely hurts the small and medium farms, especially the young farmers, about the financing side. We all know that the prices are down to production cost. And we're hoping that eventually that will pull through that. And this is just nothing that's been in the past year or 2 years. This has been going on for a while. It's just really escalated in the past 2 years. So we're hoping that Washington can get this straightened out. And farmers are the ultimate optimists people. I mean, we always think it's going to get better, and that's why we keep planning.
Yeah.
Without that optimism, there'd be no food growth.
Right. That's so true. You do have to be optimistic when you're a farmer. And I love that you touched on young farmers, and, we need people to take a chance on them and to take that leap of starting the farm. And there's a lot of risk involved, obviously, with every farmer. So yeah, I hope that the prices can turn upwards and that we'll get through it.
Because and the other thing really facing is whether the next generation is going to continue on. Unfortunately, there are some people who have left the farm and are not going to come back. I mean, my father and my uncle were only 11 and 17 years older than me, and I worked off the farm for 30 some years. So I can see it. Now, whether my children decide to go into it full time or not, that's up to them.
Yeah.
So.
And that's good. You did something else and then came back and realized it was your calling.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you have a lot of watermelon that you have to handle and pack and then transport. Do you have any H2A workers that you hire for help during the summer?
Yes, we use a contracting firm to handle all the H2A workers, and that way they can bring more in if needed and such. And without H2A workers, I don't know how we would ever harvest a crop like watermelons, crops like cantaloupes or muskmelons, fresh market tomatoes, peppers, any of that is not machine harvested. Now, would they like to be? Sure, but it's just not. We don't have the genetics and breeding plants that set all at one time to ever do that. So H2A is very critical to the fresh market industry. I mean, even small farms now are using H2A workers, even if it's a couple. We can run around 30 to 40, depending on if we got a big harvest or a small harvest that week. There are some operations that run almost 100.
Wow.
When they've got hundreds of acres to go through. So yeah, it's very crucial to the ag economy. Not only the fresh side, processing plants would love to be able to use an H2A worker because it's very seasonal with them. The flip side is someone who needs longer term is the dairy industry and the poultry industry. They need long-term labor. Put answers to their questions it's just a different mindset because they can't use H2A workers because it's not seasonal, it's not just for harvesting.
Right.
But they have labor issues that they're having a tough time meet with domestic help.
Yeah, definitely is crucial, and you need a lot of hands to harvest, to plant, to make this happen, and especially with the short time frame and getting this out to consumers. H2A workers are definitely vital to any fresh market farm, for sure.
Yes, and even the H2A, everybody always thinks H2A workers are from Hispanic cultures, and that's not necessarily so anymore. There are a lot of H2A workers from South Africa here now, and they're able to run equipment because some of the South African farms use the same mechanical equipment as we do, as far as tractors, combines, and such. So the past 8 or 10 years, that has changed also. So
that's great. Yeah, the program's really expanded.
Yes.
Seems like great. Now, you've had a lot of experience with the Delaware Farm Bureau and some other boards and committees. Why did you want to get involved with the Delaware Farm Bureau?
Uh, Years ago, when we were doing hot peppers, we had an issue with the company, and I realized that farmers really don't have a say in what goes on with their product, and that's when I became more active in to Farm Bureau, the fruit and vegetable growers, the Farm and Food Policy, Mardell, all those organizations that work for farmers to have, well, not only more income, but have more say in what goes on, to be able to market their product better. And I think that's one of the big things is you need organizations, not only specialty sides, say like the fruit and vegetable growers or the Mardell, but the bigger organizations like the Farm Bureau have more clout coming into it, because we all are part of agriculture, whether it's the poultry industry, the fruit and vegetable industry, fresh market processing, grain. We all are farmers, and I think Farm Bureau, definitely is the one organization that kept not only on a state level but on a national and international level to help the American farmer.
That's great. No, I would definitely agree. And yes, you can do a lot as a farmer yourself, but you have such more powerful voice and stronger voice when you're involved in an organization like the Farm Bureau and able to advocate for farmers through that.
Yes.
Sorry. I guess as we wrap up, we'll end on a more positive note, but what is the most rewarding part of your job?
Well, I think realistically, one, family involvement, knowing that your family is helping you, working together, even if it's an inconvenience to them, they see it worth it. Not only that, because of the financial side, but help feeding people. Like you said, I'm part of the Food Bank of Delaware, and I see the good work that they do. And other groups like Society of St. Andrews, who goes out and actually helps glean fields and be able to provide that nutrition that some people would never get. So I think all that together is kind of why we do it. But on the bad side or good side, financially, we have to be able to do that and be able to plant a crop, make money, so that we can help do some of the donations and such. But so it all comes together. It's what you feel your self-worth is providing for people, but also providing for your family.
That's great. Yeah, I love the family aspect, and that's, most farm families today, they really take pride in the generations that work on their farm. And then I love that you give back and see the value in, letting people know where their food comes from, because so many people don't realize it's people like you working hard to put food on their table.
Yeah, they have definitely a misconcept of farmers nowadays. I visited schools from DC to Maryland to Vermont and such, but I think that's changing with efforts, with education and promotion stuff and farm to school. It's definitely changed over the years.
Good. Yeah, we definitely hope with this podcast that we can help to educate the public on agriculture industries such as the watermelon industry or all the other variety of farmers that we have here in Delaware. So thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for coming down.
Yes, thank you for having us on your farm, and hopefully we can get some more watermelons before the end of the season.
Yes, be glad to.